Hey guys, it's siu-yee. Welcome back to my channel. So I really wanted to make this video because I fear that a lot of people who have federal student loans are not aware of two very important things. Those two things are the CARES Act provision that allows employers to make non-taxable payments towards employees' student loans. And the other is the forbearance extension on federal student loans. Let's start with the CARES Act. Many people are aware that the CARES Act prompted the sending out of stimulus checks across the country towards people who qualified depending on their income and the size of their household. That, along with unemployment benefits for those who have gotten laid off due to the pandemic. However, a little known fact about the CARES Act is that there's a provision in it that allows employers to make non-taxable payments towards their employees' student loans. If you have federal student loans and your employer has a student loan repayment program as a benefit, that means that they can start helping you repay your student loans up to $5,250 without getting taxed on that amount. It is important to note that this provision actually ends December 31st, 2020. So if your employer is currently not offering this benefit or doesn't have a student loan repayment plan as a benefit, then they would have less than a month to implement it if they so choose. Now, my intent with this video is to inform those who currently have federal loans and are employed to contact their employers and let them know about this provision if they aren't aware of it already. There are so many resources online that detail the specifics of this provision and how both parties, the employees and the employers, can benefit from this. Obviously, this will help the employees by paying down their debts faster, but the employers can also get a tax break on this. It can increase your employee retention rate. But if your employer is currently not offering a program, it wouldn't hurt to ask them if they would be willing to maybe draft a plan and amend it so that they and their employees can start benefiting from this provision. And as a side note, if you're an employer, I think it's a good idea to offer this as a benefit. If you're starting to hire new people into your company, the student loan debt crisis has gotten to such a ridiculous point that it would be such an invaluable benefit to offer your employees. A lot of companies offer tuition reimbursement and tuition programs that are obviously great. This would just be another category of education assistance. It will increase employee satisfaction, lower stress levels. It could actually improve employees' performance on their jobs. There are stipulations to this program. It only applies to qualifying education loans, specifically loans that you take out solely for tuition. I will leave links down below from the IRS and other articles I found to be very helpful to show you what this program actually covers and how employers can draft a student loan repayment plan. Sorry to anyone who has private loans like me, this will not apply. The next thing I wanted to talk about is the extension on student loan forbearance until January 31st, 2021. Although this may not be a huge shocker to some, considering that these extensions have happened a few times now this year, it is so important that people who have federal student loans take advantage of this extension. You have zero interest. What I would give to have zero interest on my loans. A lot of you know that I paid off my federal student loans within pretty much a year of graduating, but that means that the loans that I have left are all private loans, and that has not been affected at all by any of these extensions or freezes on interest rates by the government. For those of you who do have active federal student loans, you have a few options. If your financial situation does not permit you to make payments on these loans because you have to take care of more important things like housing, food, utilities, transportation to your job, obviously making payments on those loans is not at the top of your priority list. However, if you find yourself in a stable financial position where you can meet the minimum payments, I suggest you keep making them. And if you're working the debt snowball, meaning paying off your debt smallest to largest, then maybe paying those loans is the best choice for you. However, this really depends on your approach to paying off debt. If you're someone who has federal loans and private loans, your federal loans are frozen, your private loans have a ridiculously high interest rate, maybe now is a time to reevaluate and see what will work best for you. If the smallest loan is a federal loan, go for it. If it really it will financially benefit you to pay off a larger loan that currently has interest accruing on it and it's a private loan, maybe it makes sense to pause payments on federal loans and start working on your private loans because you don't have that minimum payment due on your federal loan. Personal finance is personal. I've certainly done the Dave-ish way, although in the past year I've definitely stuck to the baby steps because that's simply what gave me the best results. When there's no interest accruing, you can start paying off your principal, and maybe you didn't learn this in math class or if you didn't take a finance class, if you can lower your principal amount, the amount of interest that accrues month to month will be less. That's how it works. If you can lower that principal, that'll help you out in the future more than just paying off interest every month. And that can only help your financial situation. So figure out what loan you want to pay next and attack it. Or if you simply aren't at that point where you can make those payments, evaluate what you need to pay and how you can get to a position where you can afford payments and where you can be financially stable enough that you can afford house, utilities, transportation, the essentials. Now, this is more of a miscellaneous thing because I feel like I've left out some private student loan people. The government hasn't completely overlooked us, and this is not something new, but when you have a student loan, whether it's federal or private, you can always take advantage of the student loan interest deduction. Now, I will go into more detail about this when tax season begins because you can deduct up to $2,500 of interest that you've paid on student loans in the previous tax year. That deduction essentially lowers your taxable income, which lowers the taxes that you have to pay the IRS. That either means paying less taxes when you file a tax return, or for some people, getting a greater tax refund. And I also know a lot of people are talking about student loan debt forgiveness. Unfortunately, I can't participate. I know I signed up for my loans. It's my responsibility to pay for them. I've never intended to have them forgiven. I do want to point out that very, very few people have actually had their loans forgiven by the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. And this is something that Dave Ramsey talks about a lot. From what I've heard, it's not the best option, so I'm a huge believer in paying off your loans if you can as fast as possible. However, if your student loans are eligible to be canceled within a reasonable period of time that doesn't dig into your life, like working for the government for 10 years and then hoping to get your loans forgiven and then not getting them forgiven, go for it. Look at all avenues and let me know what you're planning on doing to pay off your federal student loans if it's not through the common ways. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more related content. I will be updating you on my taxes eventually, and yes, I have a new background. I did move. I'm at my parents' house. The rest of my room and the whole upstairs is a mess. Until I organize things, this is what you'll be getting. Leave a comment below letting me know if your employers are already offering a student loan repayment program or what you're planning on doing with the new extension of student loan forbearance until January 31st. Alright, thanks for watching.